We are starting our Intuition for Business Growth, and I want to make sure that I have everybody coming in, dialing in. So I see Susan. Hi, Susan. We're waiting for people to join me. I'm having Angela, Elena, and Chantal coming here. So let's just wait for a couple of minutes for people to join. And we should be seeing people any minute. Yeah, we have 93 people signed up already, and we have a couple of people already watching. So my name is Sigrun, and I help people turn their passion into profitable businesses. And intuition is something that I use in my business, although I wouldn't say I'm an expert. And that's why I have 3 experts on the Blab today talking about intuition. And we have the first people joining. Elena, great. And we have Chantal.
Hi, Sigrun.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Hello, Chantal. Now we're just missing Angela to join us.
Fantastic.
And we are complete. So it's the first time for you, Elena, on a Blab.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for breaking me into the Blab mode.
Yeah. Chantal is already a veteran, like you are already experienced Blab woman. Yeah.
It's great. I was so faithful to webinars, so it was about time to start with Blab as well.
Blab is a fantastic way to have this kind of discussion, like interviews, like TV shows, because you can schedule it out. And as you can see, you can give each other, not hearts like on Periscope, but, high fives.
High five. Oh, yeah. How do I give you a high five then? How do I do that?
You click on the video where you're going to give the person the high five. And it's just valid for that Blab. So it doesn't continue into other Blabs like Periscope. You can collect all your hearts. But what I love about Blab versus Periscope is kind of this discussion. Like you're not alone and you have the whole chatting. So, yeah. So we should be seeing a chat on the right side. I'm not seeing. Do you see a chat on your right side?
I have only all messages, which just shows who shared where, and then I have mentions, but I don't seem to have messages.
Oh, where is Sigrun?
Oof, I think we lost Sigrun.
Hello, Elena. Nice to meet you.
And you, so nice to meet you as well, Chantal. Sorry, I didn't jump into our Facebook hellos yet. I just got off a client call, so happy to be here with all of you now. Oh, here, I think I just found the question section. There we go. It's on the left. Fantastic.
On the left, I think it shows the questions on the left, and on the right, you type it in. On the right,
I'm clearly the expert here, so I can learn from you.
Not the same like a few months ago when I was here first time. It's another environment now.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks great. I always love discovering new technology. So I have webinars and Periscope under my belt, but this is new. So
it's really great thing.
Find the next thing.
Yeah, it's really a great thing. You're from Germany, aren't you?
I am. I'm in Munich right now. How about you?
I'm Switzerland.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah. I lived for a long time in Zurich as well.
Oh, great.
So you're my old home base.
Oh, that's genius. We should make a German Blab one day.
Yes, that would be fun. That would be fun. She also speaks German, right? Yes. I've never spoken to her in German, so I don't even know, but I'm assuming she must.
Yeah, she speaks very good, really good German. Yeah.
There we go. We're going to do a German Blab once. I like that idea. I don't do any of my business in German, so that would be a new one for me. I liked it.
Yeah. You make all your business in English?
Sigrun says she's here. Sigrun, we don't see you.
No, we don't see and hear you.
come back. We miss you.
She is not on the seat. She's coming.
Okay. I had to call in again.
You have an echo now.
Okay. So we are still waiting for Angela. Wait.
Oh, just have an echo.
Yeah. Should be gone now.
Okay, perfect.
Good. So Angela should be joining the fourth seat whenever she can. And we're just going to get started on how to use intuition for business growth. As I said, my name is Sigrun. We always have a little bit, or might potentially have technical issues like we had now, because I didn't see the chat on the right side. So I had to refresh everything. And then you have to go out and back in. Anyway, we are here, and it's very natural also on the webinars. It starts at kind of 5 minutes past the full hour once you've kind of like gotten everybody sorted, everybody's on the call. And as I said, it's a European blab. We are all based in either Germany or Switzerland. I think that's fantastic. I heard your discussion on the German. Of course, we can switch over to German, but then I think maybe half of the audience wouldn't understand what we're saying.
We'll do a new German blab once.
We'll do a new blab. So this blab is in English, and we're going to talk about how to use intuition for business growth. My name is Sigrun, and I help entrepreneurs turn their passion into profitable businesses. And I use intuition in my business, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. So I have you here on this blab to discuss how do we recognize intuition? What is intuition? How can we start to use it better, more effectively in business? And maybe bring some examples from yourself or your clients where you think like this has been a breakthrough. Like, what is the difference between using intuition versus you're not using it, for instance? So maybe we just go around and we start with Elena. You're the top, at least in my screen here.
Okay, super.
So what is intuition for you?
So for me, intuition is your higher self in a way. It's the things that you know that come out when you're trying to not overthink something. It's a gut feeling. It's when you have this thing where you're like, I kind of knew this before it happened, or you have an instinct about certain things. So for me, I tend to get like a chill or shiver when I feel into something and I know it's the truth for me or something's right for me. I know that I'm in that intuitive zone, and intuition, I think we're all born with it. I don't think anybody doesn't have intuition. I think we're just in a society that cultivated like the brainy side more than the gut feeling side of things. So we kind of alienate ourselves from our intuitive knowing. But I think in theory, anybody is intuitive. And we typically also know when we override our intuition because we don't want to hear what it says.
You see. So we maybe see it or hear it or feel it, and we're kind of like, push it away. Yeah, we'll talk about
I should work with that client because, I don't know, it seems like the right thing to do, but in your heart, you're not excited and you can't put your finger on it. So that typically is where your intuition is saying, careful, this might not be perfect for you, but maybe the brain side of you says, no, this is a good client, you should go for it, but you're not 100% with it. And then, your intuition has a different take on this than your logical side.
Yeah, so very good point. Very good point. So Chantal, what's intuition for you?
I think it's almost the same as Elena already taught. I make a difference between instinct and intuition, because instinct is something like it's coupled with the body, with the man with his body function. But intuition is more than that. It's really, like you said, Elena, for me too, something with my higher self, my soul. It's an impulse from my soul. Yes, it's something like an indicator of the meaning of my personal life. That's my intuition. I can know the personal signs of my intuition.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that when I hear and know these signs, that I always have the good decision, the right decision. It just can mean that I attract something to learn, something which hurts, but it learns me, it teaches me. That's intuition, because it's the indicator of my personal meaning of life. That's
yeah. I love how we can all have a different take on it, but it's essentially the same thing. And I've been using intuition my whole life, knowingly or not knowingly. But when I read the book Blink, that was when it was kind of also described for right-brained people, or left-brained. Anyway, for those who are more, want to do logic and calculate numbers, and then you still realize there might be something wrong. So the first chapter of Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend you read this book. It's perfect also for people who kind of like are not totally into intuition yet, and now they're going to see through that book how he proves his point on intuition. In that first chapter, there is, I think it's the Guggenheim Museum in New York. They've bought an old statue, very, very old statue. They've had people research it. Is it really old? Like, is it really what we're paying for? So they buy it, and it's just going on a display the day after. And then, a guy who was on holiday or maybe wasn't working there anymore comes to see what they're preparing the statue, and he says, it's fake. It's just like, it's fake. But he has no data or nothing. He just saw it and it's fake. And they're like, what? We've done all the research. We have all the data, it's all kind of been verified that it's old. And he said, no, it's fake. And it's like, that's, he said, was explaining intuition with like knowledge, like you have your education, you have your background, you have experience. It's all accumulated. And then there's something extra like that comes like, and sometimes he couldn't say what it was exactly, but he just knew it was fake, and it turned out to be correct. So
awesome. That's
some kind of knowing. No? As Elena, I saw your website, and you described there that you are clairvoyant.
Yes.
That's something like that. This man, he just knew it. It's in German we can say clear knowing.
Yes.
Clear knowing.
That would be clairsentience, I think, is that
exactly.
equivalent, or claircognizant even. These are the things where the knowledge kind of is dropped into your being, and you don't know where or why, but you know what you know, but you don't know why you know it.
It's a psychic perception.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really also a difference between this psychic perception and the intuition. Intuition is an indicator for my path, for my individual path, and the perception, the psychic perception, is an indicator for others, for this arts perhaps, or for other people. It's not an indicator for my path, for my meaning of my life. And that's, for me, a really big difference.
Yeah.
But all is this invisible perception.
Yes. Something that's difficult to prove. Like you'd say, you get a potential client, and all the signs are telling you not to work with this person, but you still go ahead because you maybe need the money, or, your logical side is saying, they're your ideal client according to some list you have, but your gut feeling is telling you not to go. So that is this intuition telling you, well, if you go ahead, you're going to maybe learn from it, and you can finally start to listen to your intuition. Yeah. So exactly. Coming over to, how you can use it for business, like intuition, we've talked about, it's about maybe knowing things in advance or having a gut feeling about it. But I really want to talk about how it works for business and business growth. So how do you use it in your business, Elena? Give us an example, either from yourself or maybe from a client.
Yeah. So because I'm very intuitive, and also, like Chantal already said, I'm also clairvoyant. For me, typical business planning is actually quite difficult because I cannot put things in a fixed order, because they actually are almost downloaded into me. Like, I cannot say now I want to do this or this, because I'll feel my way into them, and I'll feel openings in the market space. For example, I will feel there's a need for a certain service or product, and I cannot will myself to strategize that ahead of time. And now this is coming from somebody who is also very much into the rational approach. Like, I love doing my whole academic career and all of that. But when it comes to building my business, it has always been my gut decisions or visions I had that came to me, that I knew without a doubt I had to pursue, even though I didn't see the path. I didn't know how it was going to happen, or even if it was feasible, but I just felt an opening. So if you want to have an example of how that happened for me, in my previous business, I actually developed a cream for eczema, because I suffered from eczema. And I had this vision that this cream, I needed to bring it to the world. And now I have a background in psychology and human resources, so not at all in the cosmetic industry, but I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this was how I had to bring this cream into the world. And I got like intuitive signs. I saw myself launching Inherits. And this was not a manifestation where I said, I want to launch Inherits. It was the other way. Like, it was put to me that this is where I have to do it. And I was like, who am I to launch Inherits? I have no clue. I have no money. Who am I to do that? And this is exactly how it ended up happening, because I followed each intuitive step that took me to the next person, that gave me another indication on that road, and then it materialized. So for me, intuition is actually following that inner voice, and mainly also trusting it to lead you to where you're meant to be, and to maybe sidestep the need to strategize everything 100%, and also leave a space for miracles to come in, and to really take those little steps on that journey.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was a very, very good example. It was an area where you were not the expert. So it almost made me think of, like, well, developing the Apple iPhone must have been an intuition too.
Yes, I think so. And I think many of these inventions, actually even the invention of that cream, I'm not a chemist. Like, this was also intuitively, I felt what I needed to heal myself. And I was almost gifted a formula that then helped other people. And I cannot possibly rationalize how I could do that, because I don't know how I could do that. I just did. Like, there are other researchers out there who have super expertise that couldn't formulate what I formulated, and I didn't try. It just happened. It happened to me. And I think that's when you follow that intuitive path, that's where the miracles can appear.
Yeah, very, very good. So we had Angela joining us. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Angela.
So we did a round before. What is intuition?
I think we have an echo.
Yeah, I'm going to get the speakers as soon as Angela is going to share with us. What is intuition for you?
Well, it's a question that for me personally is very difficult to answer. But first of all, hello everybody, and sorry for being late. Techniques let me down. I'm not talented in techniques. I'm talented in intuition. Intuition for me is so normal, so just everyday thing since I'm born, that I had a hard time to think what it is when I started to explain it to people. And as a matter of fact, it's just this little glimpse you have from time to time when you do something, just daily basis. Like when you leave the house and all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, something today, I think, yeah, maybe I'll call this person. I need to talk to her. And your phone is ringing at that moment. That's kind of intuition, in my opinion. For me, it's just day by day what's happening to me. And mainly it's just listening to the little tiny things, the little glimpse you have. That's not the intuition, I call it. It's a knowing things without being able to explain why.
Yeah, that's what we said before with the guy who knew the statue was fake. He just knew. He couldn't explain why. Yeah. So in the second round, we were asking about, you know, how to use intuition in your business. And Elena just explained brilliantly how she kind of went into a totally different area where she was not educated or experienced and just followed her path. You know, it was almost like somebody has decided this for you and you're just supposed to go on that path. So exactly. I want to ask now, how do you use intuition in your business, in your current business or previous businesses? How do you use intuition in your business?
It's really something very natural for me. As I make this large difference between my intuition, the intuition, my signs for my path, and the psychic perception, I think it's really very interesting when I can take both and can make decisions really much easier. Some decisions for my intuitions are giving me this basic trust, this good feeling of sovereignty, of this trust, you know, to know it's good. This way is good for me, even if this way is something to learn.
Difficult or something?
Yes, even if it's difficult. I know, okay, it's difficult now, but this other day I chose with my intuition and I trust it's the good way. And so I don't lose a lot of energy. I don't have a lot of sorrows. I don't have much anxiety like in other years.
Yeah.
And and the other thing with the psychic or mediumistically perception is really another point. It's when I feel something from outside. When I feel, when I just get a picture, let's say I discuss with someone and I like to make a business with him. I like to make, how do you say in German is Vertrag?
A contract?
Yes, exactly. If I like to make a contract with this person, and in the discussion with this person, I got some pictures or some bad feelings. That's not the same like intuition for me. It's a psychic perception. I feel it from his energy. It's something you can say from the universe or from my from God or it really doesn't matter from where. I think it doesn't depend on a spiritual background. It is always the same. It just have another name, and it comes like that in my mind, and I know, okay, these signs I must take them seriously to my decision now. Do I make business with him or not? And that's not the same like my intuition. It's something for my things outside of my own energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think and maybe for the audience who is not as deep into the material as you are, it doesn't really matter what it is. You get a feeling. You get some kind of a feeling. We can call it a gut feeling. Whether a decision is right or wrong or what path to follow. I think that's the how we use it in business. I guess for decision making or choosing a path or who to work with. Yeah. So Angela, do you have an example how you use intuition in your business? We're going to talk about this more, of course. We have a full hour. So but an example from you, Angela, about how you use intuition in your business?
I'm just someone who has this intuition where like I know things, but not knowing why, where. And if I have a new client asking to have a meeting or appointment, I just go into the energy after we made the appointment, go into the energy with my intuition and feel already how is this going on, how it's going to start, what's actually also the blocking parts, what's blocking the person that is coming to me. And it's like, it's kind of how Chantal explained it, going into the outside to the other person's close energy, but the information is more from the universe. It sounds all a bit weird, but that's how it works for me. Yeah, well, I know. Well, this is how I use my intuition to get into knowing the person before it's coming. So I already got the energy that's arriving.
Yeah.
Also helping me in the intuition to be as perfectly prepared as I can be for the person coming up to me, for my client.
Yeah. So, okay. People are here watching us either live or replay. This is recorded and will go on YouTube. What's the next step? You know, we don't have to, I want to make sure that the people watching or listening, they don't need to be, you know, a medium or sensitive or high energy. Anybody can use an intuition, but how do they get started? Like, how can you start to use it? And Elena, how would you advise a client or someone watching to start to use their intuition?
So I have a nice little trick that I like to show my clients that helps them tune into their inner knowingness. And it's actually something I can demonstrate here if you like, because anybody here on the call, you can see how I do it. So it's really, if you're watching, try to hold your fingers like this. So basically you interlock your two fingers like this. Yes. And the first thing you'll do is you'll try and center yourself and you ask a question. And ideally you'd have your mouth closed, so you shouldn't really do this while talking, but I'm just going to do this for demonstration's sake. And you'll ask a question that you know the answer is yes. So in my case, I'll just say, my name is Elena. And you see the chain does not break if I try to pull my two fingers apart, because I'm accessing my inner truth. I know that's my name, so it doesn't break. Now, for example, I hate accounting. I know that. So if I would say I hate accounting and I try to pull my fingers, this is what happens, because this reflects my inner knowingness. Now, the point is not to do that for things where you already have a predefined yes or no answer. The point is when you're on the fence with something, like, should you go for that client? Should you take on this new project? Is this a good business partner for you? Then you can sit there, you close your eyes, and you go, is this right for me? And you exert that kind of pressure. And if the chain breaks, your inner knowingness will be no. And if the chain doesn't break, your inner knowingness will be leaning towards a yes. So that's an easy way to access your intuitive answers.
Oh, brilliant. I loved it. Very, very good. So Chantal, what would you say to a client who kind of comes to you and wants to start to use their intuition in business? What kind of advice do you give them?
We first just have a look on his experiences, because as we already said, everyone has an intuition, and it's really individual, this intuition to perceive.
Yeah.
So we just have a look on his own experience and get some indicators. When was it a situation where my client felt open, when he felt lightly, when he felt open is the best thing, I think. Yeah. And everyone knows that. Everyone remembers on some situations when here all gets opened.
Yeah.
And we just note that down, and we collect some different experience like that, and we realize how his individual intuitions feels.
So if I feel this feeling again, I know. You're kind of making me remember the feeling. Ah, very good. Yeah, I like that.
So when you have another situation and you think, oh, I don't know what to do now, you can say way number 1 and way number 2. How does it feel? Number 1, oh, it opens. And number 2, it's strange, it's dark. Okay, I have to choose number 1.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you for that. So, Angela, what do you advise a client who wants to start to use their intuition?
Well, Elena spoke right out of my heart, because that's how I tell them to do it on a daily basis, as people like to do it in a calm way. And what I also tell them, as I'm someone who wants to have practical things that I can include in my shopping, whatever, grocery shopping or something, when they stand in line, to let them breathe. Just because we're very often not aware of the fact that our breathing is just the easiest way to become calm, to feel exactly what's going on. And why ever someone is a bit shaking or nervous, there's so many influences around us every second, thousands of informations. I tell them to imagine, because that's something that I love, to give them pictures, that they have roots. They're going out of their feet to the ground, and give them the possibility to stand really proper, that they know, here I am, and then they feel themselves, and automatically they will trust much more their intuition at that time, and they can just follow their feeling, because when they have the roots, they just can do it. And so I let them breathe, and one client once said, since we met, I can't stand in line just as everybody else nervously. I stand in line there and time flies, because I just don't realize that with my breathing, there's no line anymore. I just feel myself, and I feel good, and I feel secure, and I know everything is becoming perfectly well. So the breathing is, for me, something that I love to teach, because it's something that we have always with us.
Yeah, great. So if you have any questions, you're watching this and you have questions, please ask. We're going to do, of course, several rounds. And, we have here a few people on the call, but they can mark their questions as a question or just make a comment, and we'll see it's a question. So as Elena and Angela are new on Blab, so also explaining the environment a little bit, you can tweet on the left side, you can tweet that you're going here. So if you tweet from a live Blab, it's actually going to record a little video of us showing all our pictures, and it comes as a picture, the video, and the tweet. If you tweet before the Blab starts, it just shows the profile image that I created for us. You can also post this to Facebook. So anyone on the Blab can tweet or post the Facebook post as well as us as well. And so you can ask questions on the left. They're always changing this a little bit. So the questions are on the left and the chat is on the right. And they highlight the people who are first time on Blab. They get a little, little box, a green box. So, yes. So Elena, you have moved in your business from doing the skincare to helping entrepreneurs launch their skincare. And now you are more, doing what we're actually discussing today. So I find that a very interesting path, and want to ask you, how did your intuition help you on this path?
Well, I realized that in most people's lives, and including mine, you always have a red thread. And you, as the red Sigrun, will appreciate the red thread. Goes through everything. And actually, the red thread in my life has always been my sensitivity. So I'm a highly sensitive person. And my eczema cream creation was because I had highly sensitive skin as well. So I moved, if I look at my career, I actually moved from healing something on the outside, which was my skin. And then I later moved on healing things on the inside, which is where I then really started to access my intuition, and I started to access my clairvoyance, which is fairly new for me. I had it probably all my life, but it was something I disregarded. So when I started to really own my sensitivity, I also started to own my intuition in a big way. And when I started to do that, I was inspired to then serve other highly sensitive entrepreneurs on their journey, and actually use as my main business tool, if you like, use my intuition and my clairvoyance rather than just my business expertise or what I may have achieved in the past as kind of my tool to help them, but really more using my inner tools. So this is how.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to elaborate a little bit that. I will come to Chantal and Angela as well. Is now we're talking all about intuition, and I invited you three for a reason, because I know you're all using it in your business and in your coaching, but you're still all different. And that's interesting perspective on, you talk about sensitivity and clairvoyance. So what would typically be a person who comes to you? Like, what are they looking for, and how do you help them?
So I typically attract fellow highly sensitive entrepreneurs, and I would say they as a highly sensitive person, you have a naturally quite easy access to your intuition because you're more finely attuned to the environment around you as a given. That's why it's part of being highly sensitive. But the reason they come to me is because we all sometimes need that outside mirror, as that somebody who can lovingly guide you through maybe the shadow sides of your sensitivity and use their intuition to give you answers that maybe are too painful for you to see by yourself, and also maybe to help them on the healing process, because to see your own shadow sides and to heal them is very hard. I think for most of us, we all need to some extent somebody that can hold our hands through the process, or that can mirror back to us what we have a blind eye to. So I think even if you're super intuitive, you might have a blind eye to your own mindset blocks or limitations.
So your clients are basically already aware of their intuition, and they're just like clearing out some blocks.
They're aware of their intuition, and when they come to me, what they want from me is that I guide them with my intuition and with my clairvoyant guidance on their business journey in particular. So they will be coming to me with problems that they cannot find the origin for. They will say, I am stuck at an income level. I don't know why. I always attract the same type of client that pays late, or whatever it is. Like, they will have very specific pain points, or they hate being visible, and they come to me to figure out the origin, because my skill is to go right to the origin of their problem, which is not necessarily what they think it is, and then to heal that origin. And I'm also a Reiki master. So also from an energetic perspective, I will not only add advice, but also a healing dimension to when we have found the origin of that block or a pain point.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. Chantal, so I want to come over to you, Chantal, and ask you, you're all very different, as I said before, but still using intuition in your business. So what do your clients typically come to you for, and how do you help them?
I really agree with Elena. It's almost say the same problems they have. It's female entrepreneurs, and they are normally struggling with their environment, with sorrows and with some sorts of fears, angsty, and they lose a lot of energy with this mental thing, with thinking about the discussions or situations, and think again. And if they would really know and trust their own intuition, or even their own tools of perception, they could lose or can lose this energy losing.
Mm-hmm.
They can get more energy for really this way they choose for their own things and steps, and they would be more on their own feet, you know?
Yeah.
They would be more, you know, men can do that like a natural thing. They have this, yes, really, they have some good connection to an inner voice, but most men I know, they would never say that like that. They just do that, what they like to do, what they feel is good, but they don't talk about it.
So you feel women are in need of more guidance to get over these blocks than men?
I don't know what you mean. Could you?
So you say that men can kind of sort this out or don't feel they need help in this regard, and then women are kind of more overthinking situations or wondering or maybe having some kind of a mindset issues, you know, in their business. So that's where you come in to solve those blocks.
It's both. I think it's both. But the large problem, I think, is that we women always tend to perceive the deep of a situation. You know what I mean with deep. It's some words between the lines. It's some things not spoken, and we feel that we realize that, but we don't trust to that. And men don't realize that. Most men don't realize, but they do what their inner voice says, and they don't talk about. They just do it, and so it is, and they go on. And we stay here on the same spot, and we think about, and we have this in German Zweifel.
Yeah, doubts. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's too much of energy we lose like that. It's really too much.
Yeah. So Antila, how do you, you know, if there is in any way a difference in how you help your clients, you know, are they already aware of their intuition, or do you actually help them discover it? Where do you meet your clients?
Well, my clients have mainly lost their trust in their intuition, which means like they got taught follow your brain instead of your feeling, and to that they made some decisions which were wrong and probably even made some business loss. So they lost the trust in it, and when they have to make decisions, they become slower and slower because brain and heart are having this discussion. And I construct with them kind of a toolbox, I call it, with the tools they need to trust more and more themselves. It's little steps, and then all of a sudden they know, hey, my feeling is exactly correct and right. My brain is awesome, but my feeling is the better guide. Together they go well, but I bring them back to not having a week for a decision, to come back to this, I know it's right or I know it's wrong, and myself, I make like decisions within seconds because I know my feeling is right. I just trust it. Nothing can happen. Mainly I work with entrepreneur women, but slowly young men start to open up. They just don't want anybody to say it out loud. I really like the fact that they're like, you're doing this, you know, I have these feelings. I'm like, and then they come over and they trust me, and they just get their own toolbox. And I love having the imagination of they have their toolbox, because then they have their little things in it, how they can really do it by themselves. They don't need, let's say it that way anymore, because intuition does exist. They just need to get their trust in it back. They just need to trust their own feelings and their heart, and that's it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. See, that was also my question. In terms of men or women, Elena, do you have that? Men, women, or both, or doesn't matter?
Well, I as client base, I only serve women entrepreneurs. So for me, it's very, I only work with the ladies. But having said that, I think for me, I help highly sensitive entrepreneurs. So actually, in my case, men and women would not be different, because highly sensitive men are quite same in the sense as highly sensitive women. They are usually already very in tune with their intuition.
Yeah. So Angela, you say you work with men, and yeah, I think there is a change. I just know I'm hearing from companies, like bigger companies who have personal development programs. They are bringing in mindfulness and meditation and intuition. So it's going to be a change, and it has started a certain wave already, is that you have to be able to understand, what's right for you and, for your team and your business. And it's on the corporate level, there's a lot of programs already out there where it goes into this area. And I think when you've already started with, mindfulness and meditation, intuition is also, it feels to me at least like that's kind of around there as well. What do you think about that?
Me or?
For instance, yeah.
I think generally the world is awakening to the fact that there is another dimension to being a good professional, and that is being well-rounded, and that means not just functioning from the logic rational side, but also including our emotional intelligence and our intuitive knowing into business decisions. And it's been proven that most of the best entrepreneurs would always say, like the famous Richard Bransons of this world, they will always quite happily say that they didn't always have a master plan, but that they just knew when something was the right moment for them, and they just swooped in because they just knew. And this knowingness they will usually attribute to intuition rather than perfect savvy of the opportunity. So I think that's great.
Yeah. Talking about business plans, I come from that background of actually helping startups write business plans, studied, MBA, turning around companies where you really had to have all the plans. Like you had to kind of like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, because you have investors who have invested in you as in charge of the company. But then what happened when I started my own business, I also went the intuition path. Like you can't really use a business plan when you're developing a business and being creative. But at some point, of course, it's good to have some kind of a plan or a vision where you're going, and then have that, do I go left or right, or does this feel right, or does what I've been doing the past 3 months feel right to me? Like, do I want to do it again? So, Chantal, how have you kind of have you seen a change in the past years? Because you have been doing this for very long, very, very long. And you were a Dale Carnegie trainer. That's what we have in common. We're both Dale Carnegie trainers. Do you see a change in the environment in your clients, that people are more open up to intuition?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Yes, it's time. Now it's another time than 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
People are more open. They are more sensitive, and even in business, in economy, the firms, they are more open, as you said before.
Yeah.
They began to realize that there is more. The invisible thing is there, and if a firm want to be successful, they must learn to take this part of our being in the work.
Yes. Yeah. Angela, what do you see happening?
Well, I have this story that I love to tell. Is about a friend of mine. He's working at a bank, and then he said, I'm this brain person, you're this heart person. I said, yeah. Did you just buy a house? Yeah. Why did you decide to buy that one and not the other one? Well, it was a feeling. I was like, yeah, awesome. This is how I quite often when I talk to people, I get out like, it's a feeling, and they don't even realize in that moment that it's their intuition that decided where to go and how to go. And I just figured when you then look at them and say, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's totally a brain decision. They start to think like, probably not too much, but I keep it as that and just start to trust my inner voice. The same person actually was starting to talk to me about this whole intuition thing, and he was like, let's go on a regular basis to get slowly this toolbox, but don't say it to anyone. And I just like that they open up. It's still a little bit this, don't tell it to anyone, please. But they're coming slowly but surely because they can't resist it. The intuition is here, and it's stepping up more and more and coming out, and you can't resist it because it feels so good as well. When you start to feel it, you can never go back. When you decided to really follow your intuition, you can't go back. No way.
Mm. Now the question is, if you are watching this, live or recorded, and you think like, okay, I'm going to start to use intuition. Now I have that trick that Elena showed and everything, but it's still like, you still have to do the work. So I'll give you an example. I was in charge of a company and I had to buy 13 cars. And I sent out to all the car companies, I wanted an offer. And then they started to trickle in the offers. And the first, within hours, like Friday evening, midnight, I got the first one. I'm like, okay, this one is eager. But I'd also felt like, hey, this is the person who really reacts to my things. And some people send me an offer a week after. And coming from Iceland, we expect fast things. So sending me an offer a week later, that's too late for me. That's somebody who's not interested in my business. So of course, the person who had sent me the first, feedback was on top of my list. But, I went into this, brain versus gut feeling discussion and was comparing everything like, are the fuel consumptions of the cars and the rental price and da-da-da-da-da. But in the end, I went with the guy who offered me first. So it's just like, how do I balance that? Or how do we balance that? Like when is the intuition right? Is it always right? Or let's do another round. Elena, what do you say?
Well, I think in a way, intuition is not isolated from your experience and your know-how and your education. So I think in any case, your intuition will be filtered through your knowledge prism. So you already have a fairly good understanding of situations, like is this the right person to buy the car from, or is this the right person to hire? Because in any case, you're still using the other sides of you because you're still you, right? It's not like the intuition is here and your experience and know-how is there. It gets filtered. For me, intuition just gets filtered through that prism. And so what comes out, for me, I always trust my intuition because it comes anyway with the other parts of me. So usually, for me at least, I don't experience them as different. It's just that I channel it through everything else that's already part of me. And that's how I usually tend to make, at least for me, good decisions, or ones that I rarely regret because they're informed already with my other parts of me, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's like you said with the car, you knew, it felt right on several levels to you. And what you said about the Icelandic thing, like that's not intuition, that's just like your experience base, like you react well to people that are fast.
Yes.
So that's not your intuition, but that's something that is in your cultural prism, like you like that.
Yeah.
So that will be part of the decision making, and then intuitively, maybe you like his energy better or whatever.
Yeah, very good point. So Chantal, what do you say about that? Like, you have these decisions and you're helping your clients learn to kind of what the danger is that you said before, we overthink or overanalyze. Like, you know, I could spend weeks on Excel spreadsheets to kind of figure out what's the right decision or right investment. But there is something like the intuition is there. It's like, how do you balance that?
I think it's really the art of the thing is to find, as you said, the balance of both. We must take our brain. We must take all we get with our experience and what we, you know, you must take both. Mm-hmm. As in your example, you said like you collected facts.
Yes.
And that's really important. Collect the facts, all you get, and collect some meanings of others if you need that. And then you have the facts or possibilities behind before you, and then it's time for intuition. Then you can go, like my example with the ways, first way, second and third way. You can take these facts and look where does it feel open or where does it feel lightly or something like that. And I think you made that in your example. You made that, I think.
Yeah.
Not consciously, but you made it, and you chose finally the one who felt most the best way, no?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the most important, to take both. Our brain is a really good partner of our work. We need the facts. We need our experience and this filter and all the things, but we also need a consciousness of our intuition.
But that's where the intuition, I think, helps, is where often we cannot get all the facts. You know, we kind of live in a world where there's a lot of information, but it's difficult to kind of analyze them, or we try to, but sometimes we don't have all the facts and need to make a decision without having all the facts. Like, you know, launching a new skincare line or the Apple iPhone, like, where are the facts? There might be some facts, some indicators, but yeah, that's where the intuition is going to be more helpful versus in my example where I could, you know, have it as one of my factor, like, hey, speedy answers on emails, and I can just tick a box and who was quick. Like, I could almost like push the intuition away and say, that's one of my criteria. Like, if you do a offer for any business, there is not just the criteria of the price. There's criteria of, you know, like customer service, or, you know, do I have a relationship with that person before? So that's helpful, you know, to get answers to any problems that might come up. So yeah. So Angela, what do you, if I am coming to you or a client to you and they're like, hey, I really need to get a hold of this, and, you know, when does the intuition come in my business decision making?
Well, I have this little trick when someone has a really hard time to decide something. I actually did it when I had to buy a new car for myself. I write down my different ideas that I'd like to have on different sheets of papers, put them the wrong way that I can't read it on the floor, and if possible, I let somebody else step on it, or I do it, and I just breathe and see how I feel. I'm really bad in following facts and figures. I'm totally on intuition. I trust my intuition 100%. I know how to deal with the facts and figures, and I know that my clients need to deal on them. But I just do with them like little tests and trainings, like, okay, let's decide now on facts and figures, and then we look at it with your intuition. Let's see what's the result. And what quite often happens is that they say, like, but the feeling with the one with the facts and figures that's right, it's not so good, but I should take that one, but I don't feel so good. And most of the time, by the end, they go with the intuition because that's better, and they end up going on a perfect way. And sometimes it's just stepping on two different sheets of paper that helps to decide.
Well, that's great. So we are at the full hour. Is there any, I'll do a rasta. So any last advice for people who want to use their intuition for more business growth? So Elena.
Yes, I would say you especially try and tune into your intuition when you're ahead of a big leap. So if you know that there's something that you're scared of, or there's a new thing coming for you, but you find all rational reasons to hold yourself back, tap into your intuition to see that bigger picture, to say, wow, this is my dream and I can feel it, I can see it, and then leap with your intuition.
Wonderful. I love it. This fits very perfectly for me too. I'm going to take this to heart. Chantal, any last comments on intuition and business?
I think most important is if someone feels some kind of attraction of this item, he should really take care of that. It's something like a call.
Yeah.
And he should take care of that and take a coach. Why not? Or there are not enough coaches and teachers for intuition at the moment now, but take someone who knows this business and train that, take care of that, and all comes good. It's a call.
Yeah. And Angela, any last comments on intuition and business?
Well, when you're in a meeting and you have to decide ASAP, it can't wait. The men have the good chance, they can play on their tie, just put the hand on the heart underneath. Women can just do it as well. Just a little tap on your heart helps you to decide faster, and just trust what it tells you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with me today on Blab. So how did you like Blab, Elena?
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll always remember my first Blab with you lovely ladies. And thank you so much, Sigrun, for organizing it and having me here. I'm definitely going to do another one soon. I love it.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing your first Blab with me. So, Chantal.
Hey, I love it.
Chantal, this was not your first Blab. You are also the one who is most active in the chat. It's great to have you on board as a veteran blabber. How was it for you today?
I love it. I enjoy it. I must some other blabs in German. Perhaps with you.
Yes. Now you have inspiration. New idea, inspirations. Yeah. And Angela, this was also your first one. And you had some technical issues in the beginning, but you managed to get on, luckily. So how was it for you, the first Blab?
Well, the first 10 minutes was a bit stressful as my technique was against me, but probably it's more me than the technique that was the issue. I loved it, and it's nice to talk to people who understand what I mean. And it's great to have this marvelous platform to go out and let people listen at any time to what we say right now. And I just love it. I definitely will be back on Blab. I love it.
Yes, great. So we've created 2 more blabbers, Chantal. That's good. Well, thank you so much for joining. I really loved it. And I'll see you all around because we're all friends as well. And thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you. And lovely to meet you.
Okay. So you exit just by clicking on the check mark on your video.
Okay.
Okay.
Where do we get the video? Where do we get our video recording? Is it only you who gets it, or?
Yeah, it goes to my channel, but I can give you a copy. So
awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.